Westbrook left wide open, had to kick it out. Picked off. Here's Bradley ahead of the field. Goes to James on the...
Weirdest things NBA players actually bought. NBA players are one of the richest athletes ever, with their huge contracts and the sponsorship deals they get. So naturally, they have a buck or two that they could spare on bizarre stuff that isn't really going to affect their bank accounts. Join me as I take you through the weirdest things NBA players actually bought. Number 10. Jerome Williams had a one-of-a-kind mascot. Anyone who knows anything about the original Junkyard Dog will tell you he's a terrific man. Fans in Detroit, Toronto, Chicago, and New York adored Jerome Williams for his tenacity and hard work. He had his own cheering section, website, and even a customized mascot, which looked like a junkyard dog while in Detroit. It was fantastic because it appeared in schools and hospitals to reach out to young children and teenagers. The downside was that it was a trash yard canine mascot on which someone had paid real money. Because his intentions were excellent, this is more superfluous than foolish. Number 9. DeShaun Stevenson's ATM. In 2012, the then Brooklyn Nets player DeShaun Stevenson made waves when he tweeted out a picture of himself and his in-home ATM. Stevenson proudly displayed a genuine ATM in his kitchen. Reportedly, he paid $3,500 to have it installed and lets his rich NBA friends use it for last-minute cash withdrawals before they go out. But this service ain't free. DeShaun says the machine holds $20,000 and he refills it 4 to 6 times a year. Stevenson's reasoning for buying it: "I like doing things that aren't normal and it's cool to have." Number 8. Shaquille O'Neal and his fish tanks. Shaq earned roughly $292 million from team contracts alone throughout his illustrious basketball career. His total earnings were believed to be around $700 million. Shaq was not only one of the league's most dominant players, but also one of its most entertaining. Shaq was a large guy, which is why he combined 2 cars into one to fit his 7'1", 300-pound bulk comfortably. As one of the largest NBA players to ever step on the court, Shaq is no stranger to all things big. Shaq's large stature means that almost everything he owns is custom-made. His clothes, his rides, even his bed needs to be Shaq-sized. Shaq has a custom-built fish tank at his house surrounded by the front end of a diesel truck with a Superman logo displayed inside the tank. Being a Superman himself, he has spent quite a buck or two in Superman paraphernalia and apparel, spending over $40,000 just to put the logo in the grill of one of his SUVs, and over $15,000 on a Superman-themed bed. Number 7. Jarrett Jack's 1,500 pairs of sneakers. Having a shoe collection isn't something you may consider weird, and we would all love to have hundreds of different sneakers. Even so, Jarrett Jack's collection seems a bit too much, as the point guard reportedly owns over 1,500 different pairs of sneakers. That's about 2,000 cubic feet of closet space dedicated solely for his kicks. Among the 1,500 pairs, many of them are hard-to-procure limited editions, and he rarely wears the same pair twice in a row, whether it be in games, practices, or out on the town. He admitted to having more than enough to keep him fresh footwear every day. He could probably outfit his whole team if necessary. He confessed that keeping a traveling assortment has created storage issues at some of his NBA stops though, and since Jack is contracted to Nike, he only wears its shoes and those of that company's subsidiaries, which includes Converse. As fate would have it, he spent his first 4 NBA seasons with Portland, site of Nike's international headquarters, where he got the inside scoop on new releases and saw the process of shoe design up close. Number 6. Latrell Sprewell's unaffordable yacht. While buying a yacht isn't an odd thing to do per se, it became one of Latrell Sprewell's most regrettable purchases after the forward's decision to retire from the league because the multi-million-dollar deal he got wasn't enough to feed his family. During his NBA career, Latrell Sprewell was one of the most explosive shooting guards or small forwards. He was an important part of the New York Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves' success. He earned more than $100 million during his playing career, but might have earned more than $120 million if he hadn't declined his final contract with the Timberwolves. Sprewell turned down the $21 million offer for 3 years of his services, explaining that he had a family to support. Eventually, the yacht was auctioned after the player went bankrupt, and he lost a lot of money after spending $1.5 million on the boat, while one of his houses was foreclosed as well. Thus, it was proved that Spree was a well-deserved moniker. Number 5. Danny Granger's Batcave. In 2008, Indiana Pacers small forward Danny Granger announced his intention to build a version of Batman's legendary headquarters if he ever built a house. Danny Granger chose an unusual approach to display his love for the Dark Knight by deciding to build his own Batcave. However, it's difficult to say whether he honored his word because updates on his private chamber ceased after 2012. He was speaking to reporters at the time about meeting with contractors and designers. The cave was a feature to a moat and was located near his Albuquerque home. Its completion is a closely guarded secret that will never be revealed, but the fact that he sought advice on carrying it out is absurd. Number 4. Gilbert Arenas' Shark Tank. Agent Zero, or Hibachi as he is popularly known, was once considered as one of the NBA's most dynamic ballers. He played like a demon, forecasted game results, and earned lucrative contracts. He was just as skilled at spending his millions as he was at making them too. One of Arenas' biggest splurges came in the form of pet sharks. He installed a functional shark tank with multiple live sharks for his house. The reportedly $1 million shark aquarium needed to spend $5,000 a month on food. He also spent $1,500 a month for someone to take care of them. After all, he was still playing basketball every day and didn't have time to care for them properly. Add up the shark assistant and the amount spent on food, and Arenas was paying $78,000 each year on his pet sharks. Number 3. Eddie Curry and his Bills. Curry had a bad credit history since he once took out a 5-month, $570,000 loan at an interest rate of 85%. He also spent too much on his New York flat, which he was only renting at the time. This guy spent over $1,000 monthly in cable, paid over $6,000 a month to his private chef, and over $17,000 for his family and friends. His 6-year, $60 million contracts aren't as notable now as it was when he signed it. Number 2. Dennis Rodman was a divisive sportsman who continues to divide people to this day. He could kick a cameraman during a game just as easily as he could be courteous and generous to random fans. He comes across as either incredibly emphatic or exceedingly ignorant because he views Kim Jong-un to be a regular person. When it comes to money management, the fact that he went bankrupt while earning $50 million in team contracts alone qualifies him as the latter. Part of it was spent on the $8 million mansions he bought. Alongside, he apparently averaged spending $1.3 million a month purchasing metal records. Rodman's mind-boggling collection took up 2/3 of his Malibu estate. It featured a mountain of great metal treasures, from original vinyl pressings of Iron Maiden's The Soundhouse tapes to numbered collector's editions of the first 10 Judas Priest albums. However, some experts claim that he overvalued many items and paid ridiculous sums for them. The man was once caught stating that he would sooner lose his kidneys than his records, indicating that he is a true music lover. Number 1. Scottie Pippen's jet that couldn't fly. The consensus was that Scottie Pippen was a top 10 player in the NBA during his time. Late in his career, Scottie finally got the payday he yearned for and deserved with Portland, where he was making $15 million a year, a come-up if you will. So he decided in 2002 that he would do so by purchasing a Gulfstream jet for $4.3 million. Buying a jet is a typical filthy rich thing to do, right? Most would tend to think so. Also, most would probably assume the buyer should test the jet to see if it worked before cutting the big check. However, Scottie didn't turn on the engines before making the big purchase and learned the hard way. The jet not only couldn't fly, but needed $1 million in repairs to function properly. That was more than 20% of the cost of the jet itself. Fortunately for Pippen, he got the retribution he needed after he sued the law firm he had trusted to monitor the purchase of the plane. The judge ruled in Pippen's favor, and he was awarded $2 million. So, what do you think? Which one of these purchases did you find the weirdest of all? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe and like us. I'll see you on the channel next time. Until then, it's goodbye.